The Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, has entered the chat. That's right, they've seen how much fun the ATF has been having with all of their rulemaking authority and said, why does the ATF get to have all the fun? Let's get on it too. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a February 13th letter that dropped where the DEA has now classified Delta 8 THC as well as the Delta 9 acetate, I'm going to get all of this in the video, as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. Why is this important? Let's go. Guys, this is really fast, I promise. Please help our channel grow. Click like, subscribe, share the video around. We'll see you in the comment section. Back to the show. So that's right, Delta 8 THC, all those stores you're seeing popping up everywhere. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just open up a different tab, pop up Google Maps, put in Delta 8 THC, and watch your maps light up like a Christmas tree. Because I don't know about your town, but it is everywhere where I live. And at the end of the day, yeah, it seemed like it was legal. It's probably, possibly, still legal according to your state. But now the DEA has just made a ruling saying, nope, we believe that it is actually a Schedule 1 controlled substance under the Controlled Substance Act, or CSA. Their reasoning? Well, the Controlled Substance Act actually classifies tetrahydrocannabinols, hereinafter just THC, as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. The ruling comes from basically the ball or strike calling of what is THC, because THC is actually defined as those naturally contained in a plant of the genus cannabis, as well as synthetic equivalents of the substances contained in the cannabis plant and or synthetic substances, derivatives, their isomers, and similar chemical structure and pharmacological activity to those substances contained in the plant. So what does that mean in English? Basically, if it's derived from this plant, and specifically if it's a synthetic substance, then okay, it's not going to fall under a lot of your states and the federal hemp issues. And that's the thing. I'm going to put the exact wording of some of the more technical language. You can find it in the description box below. But at the end of the day, what the DEA is basically saying is, look, this is synthetically derived. It's not naturally coming from hemp. Therefore, it's not going to fit the hemp carve out. Instead, it fits the definition of THC. Why is this relevant to the Second Amendment? Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this for one big, simple reason. Well, two. The first one is the fact that gun laws and drug laws, they love each other. They don't get along, but they love each other. Because if you have a firearm and if you've got drugs, oh man, there's all sorts of laws that suddenly start talking to one another just to stack on extra sentences, minimum prison time, minimum incarceration, misdemeanors become felonies, you name it. That's a fantastic way of basically finding yourself in deep, deep trouble. And that's unfortunately what I'm going to be worried about this, is because, of course, a lot of folks, similar to the ATF pistol braces, bump stocks, you name it, may have been purchasing Delta 8 for any variety of different reasons. I'm not going to get into that. But the point is that it was legal. It was legal under both state and federal law. And now we have another federal agency that has stepped in and said, you know what? We're going to move these goalposts, and now we're going to say it is illegal. And now all of a sudden, you may have had a lot of people who thought they were following the laws now be facing minimum years in prison if they trigger one of the federal tripwires. What's a quick example one? Well, you see a link in the description box below to a video that we did about this. But for instance, if you're involved in drug trafficking, and no, don't think like narcos or something like that. Drug trafficking could be something much more sedate, depending upon, again, subject to your local listings and your local laws. But for instance, if you bought a pack of Delta 8 gummies because you thought it was legal, they told you it was legal, everyone said it was legal, the internet told you it was legal, and guess what? You sold a couple to a friend or whatever the case may be, bam, drug trafficking now. That could be what we're looking at, depending upon how aggressive both the laws and the enforcement mechanisms, and by that I mean prosecutors and agents, may get on this. Oh, you were in possession of a firearm when that happened? Oh, that could be 5 years. 5 years sentence minimum at that. Right. These rulings absolutely matter. And guys, there's a really good chance that, look, even if you may not have purchased Delta 8 or ever been in one of these stores, odds are really good that someone that you know, maybe a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, whoever the case may be, it probably applies to one of them. So you have to be extraordinarily careful about this. And by the way, this is just, of course, another brick in the wall of federal agencies and bureaucrats who are unelected making these rule-making determinations, right? What does this mean at the state level? Because right now we're talking about the federal level. At the state level, again, check your local listings, but oftentimes the way that this works is that your state may have some sort of controlled substance board. This is a group of individuals who meet periodically throughout the year to determine, look, we're going to classify this as a controlled substance. So typically what they're dealing with a lot of is, of course, big pharma coming out with new drugs and so forth. What they're also dealing with on the more illegal side would be, I guess, undocumented pharmacies who are coming up with basically twists on formulas that may be able to make some sort of party or street drug cheaper and easier to manufacture. It also conveniently, because the way that a lot of the drug laws work, virtually almost all of them, there's exceptions, but virtually all of them, is they have to criminalize particular chemical formulas. So if I'm an enterprising drug dealer and I figure out, oh shoot, well, playing the numbers game, I'll eventually be busted. But, if I just tweak the chemical formula in something, or whoever I'm ordering from the internet, because that's the way this all works now, maybe that'll give me defenses. And by the way, yeah, sometimes they do think like that. And again, there are laws to go after those folks. I'm not going to get into that here because this isn't fundamentally a video about drugs and how to become a drug dealer. This is a video about Second Amendment, what you need to do in order to keep yourself safe and legal. But the bottom line as to where I'm going is that your state's controlled substance board, who meets periodically, may now be looking at this DEA decision and saying, okay, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to now criminalize this as well? We're going to put Delta 8 on our controlled substance list? If the feds did it, do you really think that that won't have any impact or bearing on what your state does? Because it will. Now, of course, it remains to be seen, because there's about, I think, 37 states right now where there's some sort of medical or recreational marijuana. So are those states necessarily going to care? I don't know. There's 11 states where it's entirely illegal, of course, criminalized to varying degrees. Are those states going to care? Again, I don't know. I'm in one of the states where everything's illegal. We have no recreational, no medical, no nothing. But we also have a lot of Delta 8 shops. So what is that going to mean? I don't know. But this is something that's really important for firearm owners and 2A enthusiasts to keep an eye on, because if you dabble in both of these arenas, which is to say you think that you're legally taking some sort of Delta 8 substance, you've now opened yourself up to federal prosecution to include potentially, depending upon your activities and all this other kind of stuff, years of minimum confinement. So what do you think is going to happen? In the 11 states where everything's illegal, are they going to basically upregulate this through their controlled substance boards to make everything illegal? What about in the 37 states where there's some level of legality for normal, full-blooded, tiger's blood if you're Charlie Sheen, THC? Are they going to try to treat all these places now like there's some sort of dispensary? Keep in mind, this may also have impacts for how banks and everything else is going to be touching them as well. Let me know in the comment box below. And guys, if you haven't already done so already, please show some support for this channel. Click like, subscribe. It helps us grow. It helps us bring more content to you. We'll see you in the next one. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, you might like some of the other content that we've been up to recently. Please feel free to check out these other videos. We'll see you in the next one.